Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. The next 7 days will make or break James Gunn's directorial career. His reputation will either be made or broken by this Superman movie. He's gambled his entire reputation on this Superman movie. A movie he never wanted to make. He's admitted that himself already. And it's a very, very interesting situation because Gunn has tried to sell himself as someone who has creative integrity. That's interesting, James, considering that awful flying sequence where Superman flips around. That's not quality. We've seen on X, Twitter and other social media platforms a crease in Superman's tights. That's not quality. I'll remind you when he said that only quality will be released at DC Studios, from DC Studios, when he released the Christopher Reeve documentary. But you didn't make the Christopher Reeve documentary, James Gunn. DC Studios didn't make the Christopher Reeve documentary. WB Discovery bought it and showed it. That's it. Released it in cinemas, and I don't know if it's available on Max yet or not. I don't know what's going on with that. Fabulous documentary, but it's nothing to do with James Gunn. But he even tried to take credit from that. He tried to take credit for the Penguin series, although I don't particularly think the Penguin series is a great show narratively, and we've had those discussions already on what I think on that bait and switch series. But the next 7 days is integral to the future of Warner Brothers Discovery and James Gunn's directorial career. Make no mistake about that. And make no mistake that this movie could still win. It's an inconsistent movie. I've already said that. I do not like being gaslit. I do not like words being put into my mouth. I reacted to this movie after I saw it. I made a video for this very platform. I told you it was the good, bad and the ugly. And I'm not talking about the iconic Western movie. There's some good things, there's some mediocre things, and there's some terrible, cringy things in this movie. It's an inconsistent movie. And movies that have spent $225 million in budget should not be inconsistent. He claims, and his fans claim, he's one of the bestest directors ever. Right? We know that not to be true. He's an okay writer-director on today's terms, but compare him with directors from the past, he falls quite short in quality. We all know he's a one-trick pony, but we know movies, bad movies, inconsistent movies today can make money. I even mentioned Minecraft yesterday. Minecraft isn't a particularly well-made movie, but it's based on a damn popular game. That's the only reason it made all that money. So James Gunn's Superman could still make a lot of money because we know that bad movies can make big money. But from where we're looking at the creative accounting from his fans and these fake sites, they're claiming this movie could still make up to 175 million domestic. Now they may be telling the truth. We just don't know. Because normally by now we would know how a movie would do. Opening. We simply don't know. The real projections are being hidden. But some people have told us that this movie will only make up to 100 million domestically. That would be a fucking disaster for this movie. It means globally, it may only make around 200 million, 250 million. And after your opening, that's it. You get a drop off. It's downhill from there, just in case you don't understand how the box office works. It's impossible, virtually impossible for a movie to hold well after the second week if it doesn't get a great, strong opening. Now, we're being told that Jurassic Park or Jurassic World or whatever, Rebirth, is going to open to 300 million globally. That means by its second week, it could even hit near on 500 to 600 million, which means it's well on board to make $1 billion. So it looks like Jurassic World Rebirth, despite the terrible reviews, because reviews don't matter, because the Jurassic Park franchise has a lot of bad movies, but all those bad movies have made money because it's the name. People are interested in these dino movies, no matter the quality. But in terms of cape shit, it used to be that way with the MCU. The MCU used to be the same as the Jurassic Park franchise. No matter how bad the movie, no matter the quality or lack thereof, people would go and see these movies and they'd make a hell of a lot of money. The MCU damaged its own brand via their own propaganda and extremism. It's damaged, and it's interesting because very soon we also have an MCU movie called Fantastic Four. And nobody really knows how that movie's going to do. Now, Brandon Davies, the shill, has said that the marketing for Fantastic Four pales into comparison to the Superman marketing. But just because you're everywhere, it doesn't mean people are going to see your movie. But the marketing for Superman may actually push it towards a strong opening global box office. Again, we simply do not know. But if I was James Gunn right now, I'd be a very, very nervous man because he's harnessed everything. He's gambled everything on a movie he never wanted to make. James Gunn has never made a movie about a character of this popularity, of this fame in his life. And as I warned you a year ago, 2 years ago, making a Superman movie is not the same as making a Guardians movie or a Suicide Squad movie or a fucking Peacemaker streaming show. Superman is the real deal. And no matter how good you are as a creative, a writer, director, or how good in Gunn's case he thinks he is, everyone is going to have an opinion. Because people who consume Superman are the biggest nitpickers of all. Isn't it interesting, since the 90s, we've had 3 Superman adaptations on television. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. The iconic, successful Smallville, who lit the blue touch paper and created a brand new generation of Superman fans. And Superman and Lois. All 3 of those shows were great adaptations of my hero. They were all successful. There was no fan wars. There was no controversy. Maybe, and I've said this before, Superman is better suited to television. Because in the modern day, in the late 20th century and the 21st century, that's where Superman has thrived, on television. Because he hasn't really thrived on the big screen. Yes, Man of Steel made $670 million globally. That's a respectable amount. And it remains to be seen if James Gunn's Superman can get even close to that solid box office that Warner Brothers weren't happy with at the time. But that was a divisive, controversial movie, and its sequel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, was even more divisive, and it split the fandom as well. But those 3 Superman TV shows that I've name dropped were utterly successful. They're still being viewed today and beloved. Lois and Clark, Smallville, Superman and Lois were not controversial TV shows, and Smallville really broke a lot of canon, and some people didn't like that, but nobody can argue that Smallville wasn't a pioneering adaptation of Superman. It took Peter Parker, it took MJ, it took the Osborns, and it injected that energy into a pre-Superman story. So the Luthers are the Osborns. Clark Kent is really Peter Parker, and I suppose you could say that MJ is Lana Lang. So they did that, and that's why Smallville was so relatable to young people of that generation, and that's why Smallville created a new generation of Superman fans. So Superman has actually thrived more in modern times on television, where in cinema it hasn't really done as well, because these fan wars came from somewhere. And as much as I love Man of Steel and I love the Snyderverse, it was a diversive, controversial take. And whether you love Snyder or hate him, no one can deny that. But these Superman TV shows were successful and beloved. And maybe if Gunn's Superman fails, maybe WB or whoever owns the property by that time should think of creating a long-running Superman show. But at this moment, Gunn is at a knife edge. Because as I said on top of the show, nobody actually knows if this film is going to be successful or not. Whether it's successful or not, my mind won't change about this movie. You should prepare yourself for a very long spoiler review from me. And there'll be no bullshit coming from me. I'm not intimidated or scared by anyone from the fan community, from social media. I'm going to speak my truth about this movie it will be a longer video than this one. I don't know if it'll be 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe more. We are going to look into the nooks and crannies of this movie. But the thing is, there's not many nooks and crannies. This movie isn't that deep, really. Although it tries to create the illusion that it's deep, it's not. Superman from James Gunn is basically exists because of Man of Steel and the criticism. They looked at all the criticism of the Snyderverse and they tried to put those criticisms right within this movie. But you cannot make a Superman movie, you can't make a successful movie through fixing criticisms. Fans will always have criticisms. Even if you don't do the things that Snyder did, fans will find new criticisms. And they've got a bigger problem on July the 11th. As I suspected, the Snyderverse fans are doing a Man of Steel trending event on social media, which will mainly be on X Twitter. I'm sure they're all going to be rewatching that movie, putting up GIFs. A huge, huge problem. Because as I said before, it's not just the Snyder stans who are angry that Cavill was replaced. Henry Cavill fans are separate to the Snyder stans. So you've got two separate fandoms gunning for this movie, but James Gunn and Saffron and Zaslav and WB Discovery and DC Studios have made the haters, the anarchists' jobs easier. Because there's so many things to criticize from this movie. It's easy to tear this movie apart. And as I've said, I can't wait for the initial reactions, which I believe will be bullshit. Maybe a couple of truth tellers as usual. But the taste of the pudding, the taste of the fruit will be in the reviews, which I'm predicting will be mixed. And it'll be very interesting what that split is. Will there be more positive than negative, or will there be more negative than positive? As I've said before, this is Superman, not Guardians, not Suicide Squad, not Peacemaker. This is a Superman film. And people take their Superman very seriously. It's a shame James Gunn didn't do the same.